Together we plant the seed. Ride along, join the dance, let's sing the song. From island to island strong, with the host we belong. Energy high, heart so bright. Tune in, feel the light. Global love taking flight. Every ride a sheer delight. Making waves across the seas. Love and joy in the breeze. Ride along live if you please. Bringing hope with such ease. Ride along, join the dance, let's sing the song. From island to island strong, with the host we belong. Energy high, heart so bright. Tune in, feel the light. Global love taking flight. Every ride a sheer delight. Making waves across the seas. Love and joy in the breeze. Ride along live if you please. Bringing hope with such ease. Ride along, join the dance, let's sing the song. From island to island strong, with the host we belong.
Time to do better. Beacon's Be Better Group Health Plan now offers new and improved options that make health insurance affordable for small to medium businesses. Good medical cover gives you a competitive edge and takes care of the people that take care of your business. Get a better plan to build a better business. Call Beacon or log on to beacon.co.tt for more info today.
Pick yourself up with Ride Rent a e-bike today and take advantage of the smartest and coolest way to get around. Rental starting for only $30 per hour and less than $100 EC per day. You down? Pick yourself up with Ride Rent a e-bike today and take advantage of the smartest and coolest way to get around. Rental starting for only $30 per hour and less than $100 EC per day. Zip through traffic, save money, and look awesome doing it. Check us out at the Esplanade Mall today. Visit us online at ridersebike.com or give us a call at 473-422-1011. Your wallet and the planet will thank you. Ride Rent a e-bike.
Right along live, welcome to the ride. Welcome to Monday on the ride. All right, guys, so let me warn you from the start that earlier today I checked with my internet service provider, very reliable internet service provider, one of the best, right? But it did advise me that they're having a little bit of issue in my area. So I'm hoping and praying and begging that it doesn't happen throughout this hour or so on the program. Okay? Say a prayer for us. Abigail James, how you doing? Kibbs, how you doing? Everybody tag somebody. Lydia James, how you doing? Big up yourself. Everybody tag somebody because today we're gonna talk to attorney Jerry Edwin, defense attorney Jerry Edwin. And you see the topic, right? Jerry did it. Yeah, man. Brilliant defense attorney, friend of Ride Along Live. Always keep us up to date with everything that's happening. And we're always happy to have him because he seems to always bring everything into perspective. Now we're talking about a constitutional challenge that he took up. And he's been speaking about this for quite a long time. Yeah, very serious constitutional challenge. Now, what we're going to uncover here today is the implication, the long and short-term implication of this constitutional challenge. A lot to unpack, a lot to talk about. Jan Patrick, how you doing? Big up yourself. Yeah. Let me share the program, guys. Do me a favor, please. When you share the program, I want you to tag it to @followers, to tag @followers, so that way that it gives all your friends a notification that we are live. Okay? Yes. Thank you. Much appreciated. Let me do the same thing here as well. Good evening, Ryder Shelly Ann. How you doing? Thank you so much. Let me share over on my end as well. Tag Cassandra, add followers, please. Add followers. Add followers. I know Jerry don't like no baby views, eh? Put respect on his name. Everybody share, everybody add followers. Let me put it over here as well and add followers. I have about 3 pages, personal pages. I had to make sure I add followers okay, right here, add followers. Yeah, add followers. Right along pages. Nice, okay. All right, Cassandra. Kim, you good? Nice. Okay, guys, so we could continue, we could start. Okay, good. All right, guys, so help me welcome defense attorney and friend of the Ride Along platform, Counsel Jerry Edwin, here with us today. Mr. Edwin, how you doing, my friend?
My brother, good evening, and I'm doing well. You could just call me Jerry, and anytime Mr. Francis wanted to beat me in GBSS, he used to call me Mr. Edwin.
Oh,
so
yes.
you could call me Jerry.
Well, no. Well, I think we had to put some accolades onto your name, sir. You're doing big things, Jerry.
Fine, thank you, brother, and good evening to your audience.
Nice. Yeah, Jerry, so we've been following you for a long time. Of course, you are one of the more visible and vocal attorney, and you always answer the call. That's what I like about you, Jerry. You always answer that call. Whether it's bad, good, or indifferent, you always answer that call. You could be in court, you answer the call. Junior, in court, I can't talk right now. I have to thank you for that, Jerry. That's good.
You know how many times you've asked me to come on, and I'm like, Junior, I'm working, no, I can't come on. But it's really, this is a special moment.
Nice. All right, Jerry. So let's get straight into it. I think we're going to have a lot to talk about on this constitutional challenge. Now, first, Jerry, tell us about this particular case right here that we're speaking about. I have the information. I'm going to put up on the screen shortly. Let me see if I could. There's so much, 83 pages. And
83 pages.
I went through half of it, and a lot of legal jargon, but you're going to help us understand this here. So tell us about this constitutional challenge and how strong is it? Yeah, tell us about the constitutional challenge.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'll give you my background as to how I came to this.
Right, that would be better. That would be a good place to start. Yeah.
So I came home. I returned home to Grenada in September 2014. And, I'm planting peas and coconut and doing everything that those of us who have spent so many years in voluntary exile, dreaming about coming home, and we put our hand in the soil. And shortly afterwards, I happened to find myself practicing law again. And I was in the courthouse one day in 2015 on the Carenage. The court had been temporarily relocated because there was some problems in an older building. So this was my first time in the court in Grenada. And I was speaking to a lady outside the court, and she said, my brother got stroke. My brother got stroke. In my naivete, I thought she said her brother got a stroke. So I pointed her to that back road by the Treasury where you could get to the hospital without going up Canash Hill and all of that. I said, well, you better hurry up and get to the hospital and use the back road. Because she looks at me like, don't you understand what I'm telling you, mister? My brother just got flogged. Strokes. And I said, who hit your brother? And she again looked at me like I'm from another planet. And she said, the magistrate, she said the The judge just ordered my brother, and he got 6 strokes in the fire station. I tell you, Junior, I could not believe what I had heard. The case that is known universally around the world is that state sponsored violence is anathema to a modern society. In other words, the global movement that brought down the death penalty, except in only about a handful, 6 countries out of the 206 countries in the world or so, only about 6 countries still have the death penalty. And universally, the human rights cry, has said that states, there's something degrading and inhuman, and it does not bode well for the development of human beings that the state will be involved in taking a life. And a movement concurrent with that said corporal punishment is equally degrading and inhuman. And so, because I had my finger on the pulse of that, living in America, I was shocked when I heard in Grenada, the country of my birth, the land of Morris Bishop and T.A. Marichaud, and Uriah Buzz Butler, and Fedor, Jacqueline Kraft, Hilda Bino, that we had sanctioned the beating of men, shall I say, our citizens, using a form of punishment that was better known to the slave master. I began making inquiries. And I found out this was a very common practice in Grenada. I was even more outraged. I then asked about the practice. How was this done? Because I wanted to know which citizen, despite any direction from the courts, would be comfortable enough as a policeman or a prison officer to strike and beat another human being. I then found out that there were magistrates that were sending people to be flogged immediately. No, I didn't need to read the law to know this was wrong, because it's like the death penalty. If you are sentenced to death, the law is, in all those places that had the death penalty, is that you had to wait a period of time to allow the person to appeal, because you cannot unexecute someone. Similarly, you cannot unflog someone. In Grenada, if there were magistrates that were flogging you. Jerry Seals was sending you to be flogged if he didn't like your haircut, if he thought you were contemptuous of his order, he would send you to be beaten. And the word they were using was forthwith, right away, flying in the face of obvious law that was explicit. Well, that kind of barbarism was just too much for me. My brother, I'm a child of the 1970s, as my friend Stuart Lane likes to say. That's where we came from. And all we know what to do is to fight power, regardless of the color of the people who are in power. Black, white, green, red, whoever you are. If you are in power, we are going to fight you for those people who do not have power. And that is something that I found that was very troubling. The only people who were beaten were poor men and boys who did not have lawyers when they went into the court. So
when you say poor, when you say poor men, what you mean? Poor men.
Literally. Well, listen, this is what makes this so egregious. Number one, the law said that only men could be flogged. I am not saying women should be flogged. But as a constitutional matter, that's an that's a inherent discriminatory law to say that only one gender could receive this punishment. Because the law, according to the Constitution, must be gender neutral. You've got to have
Right.
compelling reasons as to why a law should discriminate on the basis of gender. So that's the first thing. The other thing is, listen, a man steals $1 million. Does he have a lawyer? Chances are he does. A guy steals five avocado or five coconut. Is he going to have a lawyer? No. He's a pretty larcenist. You know, he waits for the man to, he fingers the man's tanya, so he knows when the tanya ready, and then he go and he steal the tanya. Yeah? He doesn't have a lawyer. He barely has anybody he could sell this to. He's probably stealing to eat it, or he's stealing to sell it. And how much do vegetables cost anyway? So you're talking about the poor.
But at the same time,
who are going into the court.
we don't want to. Right. What I'm saying, hold on, just to stick a pin there. We don't want to say that pedia larceny is right, however, because we do have a case now on social media where it speaks to pedia larceny. It
is a crime.
No.
My objection.
Right. Okay.
My objection was to the punishment, not that the individual is not committing an offense for which the law should deal with them. My contention is, you're not going to borrow a page from the slave master's book to punish me. They're going to punish me according to what is humane, what is not degrading. And that is what is universally accepted, not just in Grenada, all over the world. All over the world. The only place where, in fact, Grenada is the only place in the Western Hemisphere where we have flogging our books. Only place in the entire Western Hemisphere. So that when I got a grasp of this, I was amazed that no one ever challenged it. I'm like, wait a minute. The lawyers in Grenada are among the very best in the Caribbean. I can tell you that. And I'm speaking as an observer now. Fantastic lawyers. Nobody has ever challenged it. I can philosophize about it, but I'd rather not. I'd tell you that once I discovered this, I reached out to a good friend of mine. Somebody who, to my mind, is one of the most brilliant legal minds I have ever come across. Mr. Ewart Lane. You know him as one of the Grenada 17. Yes. This man he got his ACCA and his bachelor's degree in prison. He came out of prison, went into law school, and finished with the highest grade at Hugh Wooding Law School. Shortly after that, he acquired 2 Masters of Law degree. He is a legal mind that is second to none. I reached out to Ewart, and he immediately grasped the issues. I didn't have to tell him much. He knew all of the cases. And I'm telling you, all of the cases. And we got to drafting the constitutional motion in 2017. I think it was July 2017 when I filed these papers in the court. But the first thing I did, Junior, because who wants to go to court when we could have the parliament change the law?
Right.
Because all the parliament has to do is say, instead of beating our fellow citizens, let us have a prison sentence instead. Let's make it a mandatory prison sentence.
Right.
We don't have to go to the slave master's playbook. In 2017, it was the New National Party that was in government. I spoke to the Minister of National Security and to the Attorney General. You guys have the power. Come on. I hear you every day saying how much you love Grenadians, how much you love your citizens. Show some love. Or continue to beat them like they're slaves. Well, you know how far I got with that. In 2022, a new government came into office. I approached that new government, the Attorney General there. It didn't get any better, right? But the case had been progressing through the courts. The Attorney General filed their objection. They wanted apparently to continue to whip our ass, right? So the last thing they wanted to hear was that they should ban beating fellow citizens like we did in slavery. My brother Junior, this law had been on the books for 127 years. That's how long they've been beating us, same way that they've been doing since slavery.
Yeah. So on what grounds did they object? On what, Jerry, on what grounds did this administration objected to removing
Let's be
that
fair.
particular law?
This administration and the one before it,
What objection did they, what objection
did they have?
Uh-huh.
They said it's the law. It's in the books. In 1974, when we had a new constitution, all the laws were saved. This is one of them that was saved. So on the law books of Grenada, beating you like a slave, that is, let me tell you how they flog you. They put something in your mouth so that you don't bite your tongue off. Then they bend you over a bench, a desk, anything horizontal. Pull your pants down and feel it. Now I have men.
And how they have you put your testicles inside of like a hole to protect it, and then whip it like that?
But no, they tell you, hold your testicles.
Oh wow.
Now I know men whose testicles have been bloodied and they can't have children now because of this punishment. I mean, really gross. Really does not belong in the 20th, much less the 21st century. So in 2017, when we filed our application, Ewart Lane asked for an injunction to stop further beating of anybody until the constitutional motion could have been heard. And the courts agreed. And so the court stopped it in 2017. But the practice was put something below your teeth, hold your testicles with one hand, and take what I have for you. No, Junior, I argue that it is not just flogging the person who stole. That's one of the reasons. Or someone who committed robbery with violence. Those are the only two instances in which you could be flogged. In Grenada, brother, they were flogging you for vagrancy. If the police find that you were out to where you shouldn't be, they bring a case against you, bring you before the magistrate, and whoop your behind. That only happened to poor people. Because you see, those who have representation, who have lawyers, who have means, who have class, who are not part of the elite, they are fair game. So when we speak of transforming our society, if we don't change our laws, we are going nowhere. It's just empty talk. And if through our laws we do not protect the most vulnerable, that is the poor, I'm not talking about old people, the poor boys, poor men. If we do not protect them, then we're selling tickets. We're not serious about taking this small island nation into a century of development. So we're not going to progress. We are using a colonial edifice, a colonial platform on which to build a modern state. A state in which, let me give you the biggest irony, we have independence celebrations and the governor general gets to speak. I am So you, for example, a woman calls the police and she says, my husband or my boyfriend just beat me up. The police come to the scene. You know the first thing they ask? What did you do? What, in other words, what you did to cause him to do that? Because you see, beating is acceptable in the society. You see? Because if the state does it, it means they
Right.
normalize violence. So persons have a dispute, and next thing you know, violence right away. You cannot resolve the violence, the dispute, and in a country where you have men under 35, 40% of them who are illiterate today. How do you think they're going to resolve their disputes? Right? So we took a look at this, and Ewart filed, I mean, the research that Ewart Lane did on this case is really exemplary. I tell you, the other member of our team was Ruggles Ferguson. And between, we brought Ruggles onto the case because we had another defendant, and we brought Ruggles into the case as well.
Yes.
I wish they would have dropped that. I like senior counsel better. But, everybody likes to drag on the queen and the queen's petticoat. All right, let's hope we mature. But he's given the plaudits of outstanding counsel, which he is, undoubtedly. Late in 2023, I think, or it could have been early this year, we had arguments before Justice Glasgow. And Ruggles Ferguson put down some arguments, brother, as to why this thing should not continue as the law in Grenada. The judge, so compelling were his arguments. The judge took, 7 months, 8 months to write this judgment that is 80 some odd pages that I've sent you. It is the most sweeping
Yes.
constitutional decision that we've had in Grenada, probably in the last 50 or 100 years. I can't think of any other, because no issue has come up that has challenged the foundation of law in the way that this application did. The court granted all 9 of our requests except for one. We had asked for exemplary damages. And those of you who are in the United States, you would know it as punitive damages. Because we are saying what the
Punitive,
state
yeah.
did was so outrageous. We wanted exemplary punitive damages. But the court said no, they were just simply carrying out the law as it was. But as he pointed out, Justice Glasgow pointed out, he said, I completely disagree with this law in the 21st century. But he awarded each of the 2 plaintiffs, $15,000 each, plus costs that he awarded to the lawyers. I think it's $10,000 in all. More importantly, I would like to hear, and my office is in Grenada and St. George's, from all those men and boys that were beaten in the magistrate's court, and perhaps a few in the high court, especially those who were injured, to come forward. This decision signals the day of reckoning for those in the elite to reckon with the poor and the unrepresented, who they thought had nobody to stand up and fight for them. That's why they flogged them right away. That's why they beat them right away, because they know there is no lawyer out there. They cannot afford a lawyer. You're poor. I've seen your face before. Take this on your behind. The fact is, Brother Junior, we have advanced as a society in this small island, as a region in the Caribbean, and in the larger world, to where we know how to punish. There are creative ways to punish. You could make it a mandatory 6 months in jail.
Right.
A mandatory 3 months in jail for stealing something that does not belong to you. Our beef is not with the punishment. If you break the law, if you steal someone's property, you've got to account. But why are we going to the slave master's playbook? This decision is a larger explication of our society. This speaks not just to these two poor men who were defenseless, but to the larger issue, the larger society, those people who are on the margins, who don't have anybody to fight for them.
True.
That's what
Yeah.
this decision speaks to.
Jerry, what is the broader implication of challenging the constitutionality of the flogging in Grenada, and how might this case impact the country's justice system moving forward?
Well, the system is not going to move unless lawyers move it, right? So as far as and I have to lament a few facts. Ewart Lane was denied the right to practice law in Grenada because it was determined that because of his involvement in 1983, there were some character flaws. They thought that that's why he couldn't practice. I wish somehow that could be overturned because there are so many issues. There are so many. We have a law here that says, and you probably heard me say it when I was campaigning publicly for this law, hoping when I came to your program, Junior, that one of these politicians would hear and say, no, let's just go to the parliament and strike this out. Instead of beating people, let's give them 3 months in jail. But there is a law against beating a drum outside of a courthouse. Not because it violates the noise ordinance, but because the history of it was that when our people were struggling against these white bastards, when they were struggling against them and they would drag them in the courthouse, these European owners, those who, anyway, when they were struggling against them, we used all kind of means. We called on our gods from near and far to say, please save us from these inhuman creatures. So we beat a little drum, chant a psalm. They said, no. That law is still on our books in Grenada. We're an independent country in the 21st century. There's another law that says you can't practice your religion within a certain distance of the courthouse. We have a law that says, let me give you the example. A friend of mine called me today and told me about it. There was a traffic accident. The police reported to the traffic accident. The police officer says to one of the motorists involved in the accident, listen, go down to the station and get the documents. The motorist, the person involved in the accident, says, I hear you, dog. I'm going to go down there. The police arrested him for using language that he found annoying. Do you hear me?
Yeah.
On the books in Grenada, there's a law that says, I'm actually ashamed of this, to be here as a so-called modern person. We're challenging that law too. The law says, it's section 133, part B. It says that no one can use language that another person finds annoying. Do you hear me? Annoying. So I remember, you know me. I may put on a robe and I'm a lawyer in the day, but I'm still this modern Caribbean man, Atlantic man, 24/7.
Right.
I go to the post office for something. This lady's taking off good time and she deals with two people behind me. And I thought they were there before. So when she goes to the third person, I said, Miss, wait, you don't see me standing here? She says to me, and she wants to go to the fourth person. I said, why, all wrong with you? You're big, fat. They bring me up in the courts. Why was I brought before the magistrate court and put in the dock? because I called her fat and she was annoyed. I mean, it shocks a lot of our people to understand that in Grenada, we still have these laws on our books. I could go through all of them for you, but we'll be here for hours. We must
I know someone told me about
change
a
them.
law that's on the book and it's particularly affecting women, right? A lot of women complain about that. They're saying there's one on the books right now that that they cannot travel to the airport with a sexual toy in their suitcase.
Can you imagine that? I mean, we have privacy laws, right? I mean,
Is that
privacy
really?
laws.
Is that really on the
What
books?
is the? Why are they examining what the lady has in her suit? Yes, I'm aware of that. I'm aware of that. There's a law that says you could have a lady can have the most beautiful cotton dress with a nice high cut, falling below her knees, but she exposes a couple of inches of her shoulder. Do you know she cannot go into the hospital or she cannot go into the government offices in Tantine to conduct her business? This is a modern country. Are we modern? Are we modern or are we aping? Are we holding on to the colonial thing so hard that we cannot move? Somebody from the BBC came to see my wife after she won the gold medal for honey. And he said to her, they were discussing, she's an environmental expert, they were discussing something. And he said to her, what we in the BBC say about Grenada, not the other islands, Grenada, is that Grenada is one of the most beautiful places in the Caribbean because it is 50 years behind. Yeah, we are failing to we want, listen, I mean, something that we had a governor general speaking at our independence 50 years later. We don't have Ralph Gonzalez. We don't have a black radical. We don't have a black historian. We have the governor general speaking at the 50 years of our independence. What does that signal? For the next 50 years, we're going to have a governor general, right? She's going to take us now into the future.
Yeah, but Jerry, that case in particular of the Governor General is because the constitutional challenge that was with the referendi, it did not go through because of us Grenadians ourselves. We voted against the referendum because that could have changed. That could have changed, including Carrico and P.T. Matnick name on the passport, the CCJ. All of those things was in the referendum, but it did not. We rejected it by a huge margin.
We're going to take another stab at it. We're going to take another stab at it. All of our history. One thing we know about our people in this so-called Atlantic world, not so-called, it is the Atlantic world, right? We know what it is to fight every fight. Again, and again, and again. What did Bob say? Them are tired to see my face? But we have to keep fighting. And we have to keep, more importantly, educating our people. Because they will get around to it. There was not a consensus in 1974 for independence, you recall. In 1974, yes. Eric Gary was under fire from the trade unions, from civil society. He wanted something for his legacy, and he went to England. Luckily, there were some people on the other side who tried to hold him back because what he really wanted was dictatorial powers. And people like Bernard Cord and others who were there to stop him. But we got our independence nonetheless. But it wasn't some... if you ask Grenadians in 1974 whether they wanted independence, I bet you would have been a no vote. Today we celebrate it. Yes, today we celebrate it. So it's a period of maturing, but I don't think we can take the scenic road to get to that path. I think we have to hurry up and get there.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a caller on the line. Let's see if I could push him through the system right here, because this is a very interesting topic, guys, and I want you guys to participate in this conversation. You could do so by calling in live. The number that you call 718-701-5720. That's 718-701-5720. We got a caller on the line. Caller, go right ahead.
Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. This is Mr. Eli Gilbert here. I enjoying the program. Good afternoon, Mr. Jerry.
My brother, good afternoon. Are you at home here in Grenada?
Yes.
All right, brother.
No, I'm in my second country.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just shifting the topic a little here because I personally find that's a rude question. There is a company in Grenada, I would not call name. When you go to money, don't care if it's $400, $300, $500, I'm talking about EC, they always asking you what is the purpose of your money or what you want your money to do. And I find in this modern time, that's a rude question. Because when you're in Brooklyn and you're sending the money home, you have to pay $10. They don't ask you why you're sending the money. Because
Yes,
they know
brother.
they have to collect
My brother,
something.
let's stop now. I don't want to go off topic, but this is an area. Let me stop you. Please, let me stop you. I happen to be an expert in anti-money laundering. And I can assure you that any money you send to any wire service, that is a question that is posed all of the time. But I don't want to get off topic. I'm not talking about money laundering today. Respect to you, though.
Oh, all right. Okay. I just find the question rude. That is why, okay, in this modern time. All right.
I understand.
Thank you.
All right.
Yes,
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Carl. Yeah. Guys, again, guys, we're chatting here with Jerry Edwin. The number that you could call 718-701-5720, specifically about the corporal punishment, flogging, right? Jerry, we spoke about the implication, the far-reaching implication of this, right? How does this play off now with flogging in schools, or could there be a challenge there as well? Someone said, well, Jerry Edwin challenged the constitutionality of flogging for this particular thing. Now, how about the constitutionality of flogging in schools, where principals now have the ability and the right to flog students? I got lashed back in SAS when I was there.
Actually, the Organization of American States had, of which Grenada is a signatory, has outlawed corporal punishment. So whipping, flogging, corporal punishment, although the application that we brought was on two specific laws, predial larceny and robbery with violence, for which flogging was the punishment. Corporal punishment was actually outlawed in Grenada through an agreement, or I don't want to call it an agreement, but yes, an agreement by all the signatories and members of the Organization of American States. I think I have to look at the year again. I did not focus it too much on this, but anyone can Google Organization of American States and corporal punishment, and you'll see that that practice is outlawed. I can't speak to its frequency or if it happens in the school or not, but it is actually illegal. It is actually illegal to use corporal punishment in schools even. Now, and there was a case in Antigua in which a person was flogged in a school, and I think the court says public flogging no, but at home, however, how a parent deals with their child in terms of their punishment of that child is certainly different from what happens in the public space. So,
okay. At the face value of this, Jerry, and you mentioned it earlier, I would think that that is a big red flag for challenge, because we talk about the unfairness of having only men being punished, and the law is supposed to go straight across, whether man, woman, whoever. If you commit a crime, then this is where you fit in. So wasn't that enough to take to any constitutional scholar or any judge or whatever, magistrate, whatever, and change it on that basis, on that premise?
Well, you actually put your finger on it. That's what we thought. That's exactly what we thought. That the discriminatory aspect of the law would be sufficient to strike it down. And the judge, in fact, devotes a significant section of his decision on the discriminatory aspect of the law because it's so clear on its face. Our
Right.
Constitution speaks, I think it's section 13, I'm not so sure, speaks about all laws being equally applied to everyone.
Right.
But in 1853, Grenada outlawed the flogging of women since 1853. And when we raised it, the response of the attorney generals in the two governments that were in power when we brought this application was that women are special. There are special punishments that is there's a punishment that designed for women because you see they are so delicate. But the hardback man, he could take the licks. I'm being colloquial. But
Right.
all I'm saying is that they argued that there is a specialness about women why they should be flogged and given strokes instead of men. But we are saying no, you shouldn't flog anyone, man or woman. I was going to use strokes in a different way, but no, certainly women should not be stroked.
Right. Yeah. And in a lot of way, I don't think anyone should be struck, right? We have this question that just came in. They say, what does the Constitution say about treating people in a way that hurt or shame them?
That's the degrading aspect of the law. So in Grenada, it is said that there is no punishment that should be degrading, inhuman, and we add torturous,
Right.
right? And as the judge said, you could be blind, but you know that beating someone in this manner or beating them at all is torture, right? Junior, I know of two men. I know of one boy. He was 17 years old. He got 6 strokes. He cannot have children because they busted his testicles. And after another man was beaten in the Grenville police station, you know what they said to him? Take the bus and go home. You think he could have sit on his backside after that, Lex? He walked from Grenville to Paradise, right? Of course, he's completely humiliated. You can imagine. And if you recall, the slave master used to gather everybody around when you are beaten because you had to be degraded. That's where this language comes from in the Constitution. Punishment cannot be degrading or inhumane. Right? But for 127 years in Grenada, we thought, what's wrong? Cut his ass. Yeah, he deserves a cut ass. You know? And we think of it lightly. It's almost second nature. But psychologically, what that says is when you have a dispute, you resolve it with violence. You don't sit down and try and reason it out because beating is the law.
Yeah. Jerry, I've witnessed a couple of videos, right? And
Yes,
I'm
sir.
not proud to say that I watched these videos, but I saw it. And during the death penalty it was a lethal injection that was recommended by a particular individual here in the U.S. And during that time, there were doctors and people around him that ensured that he goes through no pain during the process of imminent death, right? They have to give just a certain amount, just a certain period of time that he's not in pain. During the flogging, right? I mean, is there a doctor that's standing there to ensure that the person don't have some kind of mental breakdown, physical breakdown, heart defect, or anything like that during the process?
You know, in the decision of banning, overturning, flogging, finally, the judge touches on this. Let's talk then And as Mr. Lane, what Lane points out, the Constitution may have saved the punishment, but it never saved the form of the punishment.
Right.
So, when you are flogged, according to the law, a doctor has to be present to make
Right.
sure you are fit to take the licks.
Yes.
And after you get flogged, the doctor has to be present to make sure you don't pass out. Well, that's what the law said. That bad law. The way the law was practiced, ain't no doctor there. Then the magistrate ain't have time for no doctor. The police, remember she says, flog him forthwith. They read that as right away. As soon as we could get that person into the police station, let's bend him over and let him have it. I tell you, it shocks the conscience
Yeah.
that we would have laws like this and we would have a practice like this.
You,
And
you mentioned about Ferguson and Alexis wanted to combine the case with Mr. Joseph in Mr. Joseph's case. Why was it combined again?
well, Edward Joseph, one of the claimants, there were two claimants in this case. I tell you, I know that we could have gotten 50 or 100 or more, but we chose two claimants
Right.
for judicial efficiency, you know. The first being a person who was charged with robbery with violence under our law books, 27, I can't remember the number. Robbery with violence, the punishment is prison, fine, and or whipping, flogging. So Edward Joseph was charged with that offense. So here we have one person to challenge that law.
Okay.
The other one is pre-deal larceny. Shabba Ferguson was beaten right away, as was Edward Joseph. He was beaten right away for the summary offense of pre-deal larceny. So we have one indictable matter, robbery with violence. That's for the High Court, that you are given the punishment of flogging. And then you have the summary offense, that is pre-deal larceny, that carries the same punishment. So in the High Court, an indictable offense, robbery with violence, flogging. In the lower court, pre-deal larceny, summary, also with the same punishment. That's why we chose those two claimants.
Right.
So
Okay.
we wanted certainly to cover the entire law, but we had to have, it would mean that we would have many claimants if we really were to just go across the gamut. So we wanted to keep it simple, but still explain the deficiency with the law.
Right. Okay. Again, guys, 718-701-5720. Are we talking about this constitutional challenge that was overturned? It's been a lot since 2017, and have been hard work putting this together. Now, Jerry, as the judge made this final ruling and judgment on it, what is the time frame in terms of it taking effect? Is it immediate
It takes
effect?
effect immediately.
Or immediate effect?
Immediately. And Junior, if I didn't say it before, I'm sorry, I'll answer your question in a minute. If I didn't say it before, let me say it again. You have been a champion supporter for us by making your airways available when we wanted to talk about this subject. And I want to really thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Because many people got to know. I was, and other media, the BBC has contacted me about this, and not now, but in the past, based on the exposure that we got on your program with respect to our challenge to this bad law, this inhumane and degrading law. So I just wanted to, for the record, just really thank you for that. The law takes effect immediately. As soon as the judgment is read, it takes effect.
Okay.
So this is now the law of the land. As I said, I think 127 years too late, but better late than never.
Absolutely.
Because 127 years from now, this law will not reappear.
So what replaces flogging? Now, if someone steals or thief off your coconut, now they won't be flogged. What happens now?
That's you know, but this is the simplicity of it. If someone steals, we have laws on our books. The law book is full of ways in which you can punish people. The magistrates and the high court do it all the time. Yeah, you either pay the person back. Stealing is a year, depending on the quantity, 3 years, 5 years, depending on the value of what you've stolen. Right? You can compensate. We have fine and confine here in Grenada, so you could pay back the person, the farmer that you stole the goods from, and still be a tenant at Richmond Hill Prison. So we must ask ourselves, what then was the role of this law? And that's the philosophy of it that really activated me on it. What is the purpose of this law? It is for the elites in the society to degrade the poor, so that the poor are marginalized, so that the poor man feels he doesn't have a voice because there's nobody to fight for him, nobody to stand up for him. And the court officers, the judges, the magistrates, they know this. Because the man who steals and has a lawyer is not going to be flogged. They're not going to flog him.
How about for the person who might molest children and the people? I'm not saying that it's good for one, it's good for all, and getting it wholesale, but how about putting something as stringent or as difficult or as hard or as tough on people who violate young children sexually as to act more of a deterrent? Because if somebody know they're getting some serious flag like 12 stroke, if they mess with a 12-year-old child or a 6-year-old child, that would be their fate. That might possibly act as a further deterrent.
I
Do you
have,
think
I have a further deterrent for you. Why don't
okay.
we cut off their fingers?
Oh, God.
Yeah?
That's kind
Why
of
don't we
perfect.
take their hands? Tell them, oh, you touched the child. Which hand you use? The left hand or the right hand? Oh, the right hand. Why don't we just cut off all their fingers?
Well, that's I guess that could work. We got a call on the line, Jerry. Wait, listen, whenever I say that, Jerry, whenever I say we have a call on the line, I have to be very careful.
Oh, yes.
I have to be very careful. Woo. Lord of mercy, Jerry made it
Let's see
viral.
what you say, caller Junior.
Oh God, hold on. Let me check. Let me test them. Caller, you're live. Where you calling us from?
I'm right,
Hello?
well, right here in Grenada.
Okay.
Hello, good night, good evening.
Good night,
Good
brother.
evening.
Good night.
Yes, good night.
Mr. Edwin, I just want to ask you a question. Well, I kind of tuned in late, to be honest. So my apologies about that.
No
But
problem, brother.
the question is about is the judiciary really and truly protecting the rights of Grenadians in this country? You just spoke about the law of flogging being struck out from the books, and about the law, the doctor not being present at any of these flogging incidences, and that is a matter, in my belief, of human rights being violated. Is that so?
You mean the very act itself, the safeguard
Yes.
is like window dressing on a nasty piece of cake. Yeah? So I don't know that that the safeguard would have cured the punishment of its inhumane and degrading character. But the fact is that the book said that there had to be a doctor present, but that was not the case.
Okay. And just a last question in regards to the rights of Grenadians. I believe we've seen it for the second time in the past 2.5 years about the music not being played around celebrations like Independence, and how we had Heroes Day a couple of days ago. In that aspect, are the rights of Grenadians being kept?
You mean, is there a constitutional right to wine?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
Is there a constitutional right to jam and wine? Is that what you're asking?
Jerry, you there?
I'm here. Are you asking whether there's a constitutional right to listen to music?
No, just the simple, just a simple. Although it's not in the books,
What's not in
not to party per se or to jam and wine, but just a simple fact of not being allowed to do that specific act.
No, I think that if the state has a right to declare a holiday, then any restrictions on that holiday, the only thing is that there must be notice, proper notice to people that we having a holiday today. The purpose of the holiday is X, and you know in advance what restrictions there are with respect to that holiday. After all, it is the crown that declares the holidays. Yeah, the state, and in this case, the prime minister and his cabinet, in their wisdom. If there is any criticism at all, in my view, it has to be that there was not, and again, I don't know, that there was not ample notice to persons as to what conduct, what is acceptable on that day and not. Remember, the government has all the right because there is a noise ordinance. The government simply could have said, okay, on this day, the noise decibel in Grenada shall be 0. That's one way they could do it, right? But again, people just have to have notice. In the law, we call that due process, right? You must know the law that you are going to be charged with abrogating. In other words, if you don't know the law in time, you may very well break that law without proper notice. Yeah, but that's just my thought on that. I haven't honestly given it much thought. I'm just speaking as a person who is learning the law to say that a notice is a requirement in our constitution. Due process of law also requires notice. You cannot tell a person we're going to have a noise ordinance, but you let them know 2 days before the holiday. Maybe they've spent $10 million on a party, bringing in artists from all over the world. I don't think it's fair to them, that they did not have notice of what this holiday would require. But that's my only critique of it.
Right. Caller, thank you so much for
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And well done on the good job with the law.
Right, cool. Got a caller on the WhatsApp. Let's try to take this call on the WhatsApp. Caller on the WhatsApp, go right ahead. Caller on the WhatsApp, hello? Hold on, let me see if I could. Caller on the WhatsApp, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, okay. Go right ahead with your question, caller.
All right. Brother Jerry Edwin, non palma sin labor. No reward without labor.
Yeah, but we make enough trouble.
Can you tell me whether there are other countries that has the same law that was just struck down in Grenada? And if they are, how many of them in the Caribbean?
There are none in the Caribbean.
Caller, listen to his response on the live because he can't hear you because I took here. Go ahead, Jerry.
Yeah, China, Saudi Arabia, Iran. There's a country in Eastern Europe that has this punishment as well, my friend. But there are not more than 7 countries in the entire world that still has flogging on their books. So you see how far an outlier Grenada was. And you would think our governments, I mean, how do you feel in CARICOM? Is this some badge of honor when you go to CARICOM meetings that Grenada is the only country that still beats its citizens? I mean, this is a badge of dishonor, but they didn't think so. I'll tell you, you raised it, so I'm Junior, if you'll allow me.
Yeah, go right ahead, sir. Go right ahead.
Thank Thank you, brother. Because beating has become institutionalized, that is, universally accepted inside our Grenadian bubble. The reason why the governments never tried to remove the law, and let's call this for what it is, because the farmers were the one in the government's mind who supported beating people for stealing their vegetables. And the government felt that if they passed this law, they would lose the vote of the farmers. Because all of the opposition, as they say, is farmers, you see, people were stealing your vegetables, but here come these guys soft on crime. So now they don't care about you. No matter what they say about farming, they want to protect the thieves that are stealing your vegetables. And these
Okay. We
things
got another
came
caller
from,
on the line. Caller, you're live. Where are you calling us from? Hello?
okay?
Hello?
Yeah, hi, caller. Hello, caller on the phone line. Go right ahead.
Hello?
Yeah, caller on the phone line. Go right ahead. You're live. Listen to us on the phone line, not on the device. Okay. Caller, sort out yourself. Caller on the WhatsApp. Go right ahead.
I think it was the politicians thinking that they would lose votes.
Yeah, caller on the WhatsApp. Go right ahead.
This is John Crow.
Hey, John Crow. Go right ahead. How you doing, sir?
You touched a button just now about the child molestation, and I would like to. I mean whatever laws we have on the books for child molestation in Grenada seems to be not working. I would like to hear a recommendation from the attorney, and as a officer of the court, one, and as a father, what does he think is the most appropriate punishment for someone convicted of child molestation?
Well, yeah, good question there, sir. Jerry?
My brother, you live in the United States. You live in the People's Republic of Brooklyn, state of New York, where there are more child abuse cases than Grenada, any one of us in Grenada can wave a stick at. They are even more horrendous than we have here in Grenada. Often, the sexual abuse cases in the United States, not just in New York, accompanies all kinds of other offenses, trafficking across state lines, kidnapping, you name it. Has the United States, a country which I respect for its jurisprudence and its law, has any of those laws been able to retard and stop this dastardly act of child sexual abuse? It's a rhetorical question. It is no, of course. So what we have to recognize is that we are, as one of the books from some of the religious sects say, we've all sinned and come short of the glory of our gods, right? So you will have bad people doing bad things. In Grenada, we have some of the strictest laws concerning child sexual abuse. And I work in the I work in the courts, in the High Court in particular. And at the last session, Junior, many of our laws, many of the cases we have, about 60, no, that's too much. About 55% of the cases are sexual abuse cases. Yeah? So, and the law is enforced regularly, every day. We hear about those cases. There might be one or two cases, one where we might think the court did not act as harshly as it should. But Brother Crow, to my direct knowledge, and I don't think I'll be successfully contradicted, we have laws that These judges do not play with child sexual abuse. I have a case on Wednesday, an incest case, where my client is going to get a very long term tenancy at the Richmond Hill prison. So we deal with these cases all the time. There's no reason. I don't know where the perception. Honestly, rape in Grenada is 30 years. 30 years in jail. That's the penalty on the books.
But we've seen a lot of
It's
instances.
life,
We've seen
and
a
in
lot of
Guyana it's
instances
also
where
life.
it has,
Sorry.
yeah, we've seen a lot of instances where it has. We've seen a lot of instances where folks would rape and even buggering onto younger boys, young children, and they were basically given a slap on the wrist and sent home.
No such case.
So it might be
No such case. I want to see that case.
there is a case.
It doesn't exist.
There is a case. No. I know of three cases.
Tell me the case.
There was a case about the young man that left Grenada and then he went into the U.S. and then he was prosecuted in the U.S. It's a case that we took on.
If that's the case, let me explain what happened there, because we hear about it generally, but there has not been a significant deep dive into that case. What happened? Now, who sentences? A magistrate sentences. Yes, the judge. Where does the judge get the information from to sentence? He or she gets that information from the prosecutor.
Right.
If the prosecutor does not present the magistrate with the full picture of the case,
right,
the magistrate is only going to give you a sentence that she, based on the evidence that she heard. So let us go back and I remember I talked about this case. The magistrate was never given the full story about the case. So Junior George, I remember, when he realizing that this young man was a US citizen, waited for him to come back in America. And quite appropriately, the law dealt with him in America, because then you had the full case that was presented to the district attorney, because remember, it's a federal case now when it happened outside Grenada. The United States has a law. It's like a fiat law, meaning it's applicable to American citizens wherever they are in the world. America is one of the only countries that is able to do this because it's the big guy on the block, right? Grenadian law, if I commit an act in New York, such as the one that was just described, Grenada cannot tell the United States extradite me and bring me back and charge me under our sexual laws. But in the United States, you can. They've actually federalized sex child abuse. So the evidence was then presented again.
Right.
But that's what happened in that case. The magistrate never had the evidence, for example, that was presented to the district attorney in Brooklyn. The federal prosecutor in Brooklyn that caused that young. I think you're either 10 or 15 years. Quite appropriate. But that's why that case ended up the way it did.
There was another case. There was another case that I also presented and brought forth here on Ride Along Live, involving a young child, I think she was 6 years old at the time. The grandmother was a very active participant in articulating the story here on Ride Along Live. And it was because of her consistency. There was some movement in the case, but then they end up not even sentencing the guy. Really, he didn't get more than.
Isn't that the case you actually asked me to look into in Grenville?
Yeah, that was the case with the grandmother.
It's still going on. We're gonna get the SOB. We're gonna get him. We're gonna get that son of a gun. That's no problem.
Okay.
He isn't going anywhere. We're gonna get him. The lawyer's gonna get him. I promise you.
Okay. All right. So John Crow, you there still?
Yeah, I'm here.
Right. So he's saying that the law on the books is 30 years. Whether it gets to, or the judge gets a sentence is based on the information that the prosecutor put together and present to the judge. So if the case is not solid, the judge could only make a decision based on what is presented at the time.
So So I like his idea of cutting out the fingers, though.
I don't think Jerry was serious about that.
As primitive, no, as primitive as it is, and I'm hearing him that yes, America is a much bigger place to Grenada, and America we have a lot more atrocities happening here than in Grenada. But in Grenada, it's a lot closer to us because we know every Grenadian know every Grenadian.
Right.
And so if Grenadian A know that Grenadian C lost his finger because he molested his child or his nephew or his niece, I think Grenadian A would be a lot more reluctant to go ahead and molest his nephew or niece.
You can't be serious. You
I
cannot.
like
Let me stop you.
that primitive idea.
You cannot be serious. Okay, I know your tongue is in your cheek. You can't be serious. Because remember, we have the ultimate penalty in Mississippi, not so much in New York State, Mississippi, Alabama, Texas. That is execution. Execution for murder. Execution for murder, whether it's by lethal injection or otherwise. Some of the states in Texas still have the highest murder rate in the entire world. Yeah? So, as modern as penologists, that is, those people who study punishment, will tell you, penologists will tell you, you cannot, through punishment, deter crime. You cannot stop crime with punishment. That's like the Zionists saying we are going to get rid of the people who don't want us to occupy them by just killing everybody in Gaza. It does not work, has not worked, will not work. Let's not suspend. And do I want to live in a place where civilization has advanced, yet I am a citizen of a country in which the state sanctions maiming, amputation? What do you think is the message we'll send to other people when they have disputes? Listen, we kill people we cut off people's hand in Grenada when they do. You know what? I ain't waiting for the police, you know. Boy, you interfere with me, cut off that. We're going to get like Mozambique and Angola and the Congo, 3 countries with the highest amputation rates in the world, right? Well, God forbid, the children of Gaza, the people of Gaza are experiencing that now. But no, our modern society, the arc of civilization, the arc of humanity bends toward justice, and that means advancement. That means we no longer look kindly on flogging people because there are other ways to punish them. The government of Grenada decided that for people who have firearms, what we will do is make sure the magistrate don't give them bail. They have to go to the high court. Yeah? They could have had other kinds of punishment, but they wanted to deter the firearms punishment. So they made it more difficult. A person now knows that if you have an unlicensed firearm, you're going to spend some time at Richmond Hill Prison before a court hears whether you should get bail or not. We're not saying cover their heads and put them in a dark room and waterboard them. We're civilized, brother. We're all civilized. Let us not lower the level of our inhumanity because a crime has been committed. That's a slippery slope. I do not want to live, and neither would you want to live in a place like this. Let's say you come home to Grenada, you see this lovely young lady. She's giving you eyes, and you're not Ray Charles. You're giving her back. You guys end up in a frolic. Lo and behold, she's 15 and a half years old. She told you she was 25, and she looked like it. What should we do with you now? Cut off your hand?
No, we ain't. No. But hear me out. We're not. Well, me personally, we're not making that mistake because I have no eyes. When I'm blind.
No. We're speaking generally, brother. I'm not talking about you, of course. We're speaking generally.
I know. Well, here's the other part of the question. the trauma that is dealt as the act is committed on these children. I know that there is, nowadays especially, there is some counseling going on. In your practice, do you recommend counseling for the family only or for the child only as it relates to a child who has been affected by those acts?
Let me tell you, this theft of innocence by men who steal a child's virginity or steals the innocence of a child, it is unforgivable. Let me say that in the first instance. And in Grenada here, the probation department, the child support services, the courts, even defense counsel, I represent these people who commit the act, brother. I'm not speaking as someone who hears somebody say about this. I read the words of the victim child. I'm dealing right now with a case where my client sexually abused. He forced the child to commit fellatio on him, had sexual bouts of sex with the child. The child could not speak. The child was a special needs child. I represented the man who did this. There are many people who say, Junior, that how could you we were straight so much off topic, but the point is that in a case like this, what is justice? You have to plead this person guilty. Yeah. When the judge asks, as to count one, how do you plead? I would have whispered in that person's ear a long time ago once I read the statements, you are pleading guilty. My job in this case is to beg for leniency for you because there is no way out. I have to try and find the mitigating factors because the aggravating ones are clear. Child can't speak. Child is a special need. Right. You're an adult and you're committing these offenses. So, Brother John Crow, it's sufficient to say that, let me close out my answer to you by saying that, of course, the prosecution, the judge, heavily depends on psychiatrists, psychologists, family support systems, because when this happens to a child, everyone is affected. You cannot undo this kind of heinous crime. That's my answer, brother.
All right, okay. Janko, thank you so much, Janko. We have another caller on the line. Let's take it, the last call, and then we got to bounce. We're already over time. Caller on the phone line. Let me see if we could get you on now. Caller, you there?
Hey, Junior, can you hear me?
Yes, I could hear you. Go right ahead, caller.
All right. So first and foremost, I want to congratulate Jerry on that victory. You know, he's really a diamond in the rough, you know, trying to bring Grenada out of third world status. But I want to pounce on something that he mentioned, you know, more so than anything else. The reason why these type of laws was on the book, and he mentioned, is really to humiliate the lower class. Like he talked about this elitism that's going on the island. And this thing is so prevalent. It's not just in the law books, but people of influence on the island, you know, like whether you're, you know, like you're considered somebody in the island, like maybe like you're a business person or a pastor, you know, somebody that is looked up to. So many of these people is doing the very said thing to others that they think that they can look down upon. And it comes back to exactly what Jerry said. And we have to find ways to continue exposing this type of, you know, just exposing this, you know, especially on your show, where this type of attitudes can go away and stop. You know, like you have a lot of pastors out there who are using that power and knowing, all right, nobody's going to believe anybody else but them. Why? Because they're a pastor, you know, or maybe a landlord. You know, I take a pastor to court, and I'm that serious. You know, I go see my lawyer all the time, and I pounce on him how I believe in justice, as how these men are destroying people's lives just because they have the power and the classism to do it. So I just want to thank Jerry. You know, keep doing a phenomenal job, keep fighting for justice, and Grenada is going to come out of this dark age.
Right. Thank you so much, caller. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Jerry, final question here. Does Grenada participate in any international human rights treaty strengthening the argument that flogging is contrary to constitutional protection?
The most obvious one is the United Nations. The United Nations Convention, for example, against cruel and inhuman punishment. Grenada is, of course, a member. I mentioned the OAS. We also see the the European Court on Human Rights, and all the conventions against this kind of degrading punishment. That's why I say this, its only efficacy, its only usefulness was as a political tool. It was so the political parties can say to the farming class, oh, we are addressing your problem with stealing by beating people, not by jailing them, but by beating them. It speaks volumes about the regard of the political elites for the poor and unrepresented, and also the extent to which we are tied mentally to colonial ways of dealing with punishment.
Yeah, yeah. Jerry, I got to thank you again, guys. If you just joined, you have to go back and watch the entire program, because today we spoke about in the matter of the challenge to the Constitution of Section 70 and 75 of 276.2 of the Criminal Code, Cap 72A of the 2010 edition of the Continuous Revision of the Laws of Grenada. And we have it. I have the whole document, and it's a 82-page document. So if anyone want to go through it with a fine-teeth comb, want to take a look at it, I'm okay to share it, right, Jerry?
This is a great public service, and I hope you would, and people can get to look at it. It's a seminar. It is a portal. It has opened the door for constitutional challenges on laws, similar colonial era laws. So thank you. It's a great public service if you would post it, Junior. Thank you very kindly.
Absolutely. I'm going to do that so folks could read it. And if anyone wants it in their email, they could inbox me, and I'll make sure I'll make it available to you. Jerry, any last word before we roll out of here?
No, I'm just it really does prove, as Justice Glasgow said at the end of his judgment, and I hope there's some public forum in which this thing could be ventilated to our people. He said, this is the reason I practice as a judge. This is the reason. This kind of case is why I sit on the bench. Junior, all of us came from the cane fields. We came from the cane fields barefoot, and then we rose up in such a short period of time in the Atlantic world, whether it's in the United States, Costa Rica, Grenada, Tobago, Bahamas. All of us, we are only 75 years old. And look how far we have reached. We have only just gotten our freedom. And look how far we have reached. Laws like this want to pull us back. And we must resist it and fight these laws. They are an impediment to our growth, our upward trajectory as a people.
Thank you so much, Jerry. And I appreciate your hard work on this since 2017. Thank you so much. Yeah, man. Yeah. So, guys, whatever you feel or say about Jerry Edward, this is a major, I believe, is a major success, not only for the bragging right of the lawyers involved, but also for Grenadians. Imagine this, right? Imagine this. Someone who stole millions of dollars, right? Millions of dollars. They don't call him a thief. They say they embezzle, right? A high polluted name. An embezzler. And Jerry, you were saying something?
No, I'm just agreeing with you.
Let me see. I think
I'm just told. No, you go. You can
right.
on it, brother. You go right ahead.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, man. So yeah, you embezzle. You know, big name, white collar crime, embezzlement. But you have someone, and I'm not saying that it's right? There are some people who are hungry, and again, it doesn't make it right. However, the people, the poor people from the neighborhood, they might, reach out and take things that may not belong to them. No, again, we are not advocating and saying that that is right. However, you would think that the person who stole millions of dollars and put more people out of their finances, you would think that they may get some strokes. They should get some strokes. It's a bigger crime. It's much bigger. But no, it's a white-collar crime. They may never see the police station where they have to grab onto their testicles and get whipped on their backside. However, the person who steals a coconut, not saying that is right, would be the recipient of that type of treatment. So I completely understand where there are disparities, uneven disparities. I'm talking about uneven. This is only men that would succumb to these type of treatment. Women, and I'm not saying that they should spank women. I don't think that they should spank anyone. No, you might say that the crime, you have to deter. And I agree, Jerry, when he said that these type of punishment don't necessarily deter people. There are death penalties in the United States, in Texas and other places in the United States, and that doesn't deter crime. There have to be more. We have to look deeper into this, all right? But I'm happy that there was consistent push to change this law because it disproportionately affected poor black people, poor people, in particular, the folks who may not have representation by lawyers, the folks who may not be able to afford a big, highfalutin attorney. That's who gets the nasty, dirty, sticky end of the stick, literally. Sometimes it damaged them for life. So I'm happy that this was challenged, and I think that there's still a lot more that needs to be challenged on the books right now. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for being a part of our program. I still got a final closing word after this commercial break. We'll be right back. Don't move.
To rent a car in Grenada? Welcome to Ride Car Rental, offering efficient, time-saving service with affordable rates and 100% paperless rentals. Whether you're visiting or need a quick ride, we've got you covered. Call now at 473-422-1011 and get behind the wheel today. Ride Car Rental, where convenience meets the road.
Yeah, guys, so let me tell you this. If you're looking for a job and you are RN, this is very important. So share this one with your friend. If you are a RN, a registered nurse here in the United States, well, All Pro NY wants you. Are you a dedicated registered nurse looking for a cozy, supportive work environment? Well, they have a perfect opportunity for you. Join the team for a charming small 150-bed long-term care facility. And that's right here in Queens. Again, it's a nice, cozy environment. The compensation is up to $58 to $62 an hour. Wow, nice. Supportive and collaborative team, a chance to provide personal care and warmth in a nice atmosphere. If you're looking for more information on a shift, you can call this number. Call this number right now, 516-387-4246. That's 516-387-4246. Or email services at allprony.com. They're looking for nurses. Cozy facility here in the Queens area. Again, the number is 516-387-4246. Call them right now. Guys, we got to tell you about Ride Along, guys. We're doing big things. We were featured on an international news medium earlier this week, and we got to thank Associated Press for giving us that mileage throughout the world and letting people know about our new tuk-tuk service, a new line of service reaching more people and letting people see Grenada in a different kind of way. All right, so say hi to the Ride Tuk-Tuk. Earlier this year we saw the Ride e-bikes. Now say hi to the Ride Tuk-Tuk. No, this is really upscale, guys, and that don't mean that it costs a lot. This is just a different way to see Grenada on its rum punch tours. Yeah, man, real nice. So we could take, if you have a boyfriend, girlfriend, you want to take your wife out for this really nice experience, call us and we'll tell you how we can make you a part of our first series of tours. It's not only for tourists. I don't want people to say, well, I for tourists. Nah, for everybody. So check it out. This is Ride. Also staying with Ride car service. Yeah, we rent cars. So if you're looking for a car, a van, a SUV, call Ride. Rent a car, right? Call 473-422-1011. That's 473-422-1011. Rent a car with Ride. SUV, also available. Book now. You know Christmas time coming around? So you know, right? So you know. All right?
Long life, worldwide. Feel the beat, feel the vibe. Amazing host leading the ride. Power to the people we shine. Giving fans what they need. Caribbean spirit, let's succeed. Every show with a good deed. Together we plant the seed. Ride along, join the dance, let's sing the song.
Also, guys, we're coming out. We're going to have the Ride the Waves, paddle bikes on the road. It's all about Ride. We'll be right back.
What if you had a choice? A choice of joining a line or a choice of making your purchases online? What would you choose? While you ponder on that, the National Lotteries Authority has provided another purchasing option. All their games are now available online. Yes, Grenadians! From wherever you are, purchase your favorite daily and jackpot type games using any electronic device. Register on the NLA's website at www.nla.gd. Top up your account and enjoy online lottery gaming at your convenience. We're taking shopping comfort up. Several notches. But the choice is yours. Join a line or buy online. NLA, make your dreams come true.
Yeah, Ride. Guys, I gotta tell you guys this because we are launching a brand new program here on Ride. It's called the Top 5, right? The Top 5. It's a brand new program. So we are looking for hosts. It's all female cast. So if you want to be a part of this all female cast of the Top 5, give us an inbox, right? You never know. You could be the next one of the Top 5. Beautiful black ladies talking about their lifestyle, their way of life, everything. Want to be a host on the program? Inbox us. Top 5. 5 beautiful women right here on Ride Along Live. It's going to be an epic show. Look out for the return of the Top 5.
Please bring in hope with such ease. Ride along, join the dance, let's sing the song. From island to island strong, with the host we belong.
Yeah, Ride Along Live, guys. If you have a business and you want to advertise a Ride Along Live, we invite you to give us a call, inbox us. It pays to advertise on Ride Along Live.
Rent a car in Grenada? Welcome to Ride Car.
Or event to the next level? Advertise on Ride Along Live and reach over 10 million viewers worldwide every month. With a global audience tuning in for the latest news, entertainment, and culture, your message will get the exposure it deserves. Don't miss the opportunity to showcase your brand to a diverse and engaged audience. Ride Along Live, where the world watches and your business grows. Contact us today to get started.
Plant the seed. Ride along, join the dance.
Yeah, well, I say thank you so much for watching. Thanks for being a part of our program right here on Ride Along Live. We're dedicated to bringing you information, entertainment, the whole 9, all right? Whatever happens, guys, and you don't see it on Ride Along, it didn't happen. It didn't happen. Don't even worry. If you think it happened, somebody told you that it happened, and you look on Ride Along and it's not there, it didn't happen. Plain and simple.
Making waves across.
Catch you guys again tomorrow. Good night.
Ride along live if you please. Bringing hope with such ease. Ride along, join join the dance, let's sing the song. From island to island strong, with the host, we belong. Energy high, heart so bright, tune in, feel the light. Global love taking flight, every ride a sheer delight. Making waves across the seas, love and joy in the breeze. Ride along live if you please, bringing hope with such ease. Ride along, join the dance, let's sing the song. From island to island strong, with the host, we belong.